Another one under the books almost, huh?
It's a good one, man. It's been great. Yeah, we're 3,700. We might beat last year, Joe. We've got one more day
Well, you
and a couple
challenged
hours tonight.
California last year when we
We
came
did.
out of Canada.
Yeah, we did. Last time we were here, it was a great event. The numbers were a little low, right? We were in Anaheim. But we've grown this about 26% over the last time we were in California. That's pretty good.
How many
pretty good.
countries?
We have 38 countries that are here this year, and 46 of the 50 states have sent delegates.
Who are the offenders?
I
We have
don't
to
know
find
who
out
the other four
four.
are, but we've got to figure that out because next year we need all 50 in Boston, right?
That's right.
So, yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
And let's just, for a second, yesterday, Arnold was here.
Yeah.
And first of all, big shout out to Yvonne
Yeah.
for sponsoring that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
everybody knows that Arnold is their chief movement officer,
Right.
which is fabulous.
Right.
But you and Yvonne tried to corral him on stage
That's
yesterday.
right. That's
He's
right.
a very challenging interviewee.
Yeah, but it was a lot of fun, right? First of all, Yvonne brings such high energy to every event and every conversation. He talks about bold. I mean, he's the boldest of the bold, I think, in so many ways. And he's got a great vision and great energy around helping patients get better. We've talked a lot about, I said this yesterday in my speech, it's not a partisan thing to say, but we're just trying to make Americans healthy too. But we've been doing it long before it was a political slogan and the conversations around that. But at our core, and that's what kind of Arnold touched on, right? The movement, staying healthy, being healthy. And when you have an issue, get in early, let us help you fix it so we can get you back moving again and back to enjoying your life again. And in a nutshell, that's what MedTech is, isn't it? Making people healthy again.
That's all it is, and kill the monster when it's tiny.
Yeah, that's right.
Too many
Yeah.
times, and we've got enough technology around that. Predictive analytics these days,
Right.
AI, software.
Yeah.
And on the subject of AI, AdvaMed's become really strong in that area just the last couple of years.
Yeah, very important, right? And the interesting thing about it, not only is AdvaMed and the MedTech industry found the important value of AI in healthcare, but those outside of our typical community are starting to understand the value of AdvaMed relative to them investing in it, whether it's the investment community or it's big tech, right? A lot of big tech companies have played around in the regulated healthcare space. And I think some of them have found the sun gets really hot when you get close, right? And the closer they've got, they've thought, where do we go to find partners who can help us get into this space beyond just the wearable side, but really into the therapeutic side, and we're the place to go. So digital is very important to us, AI is very important to us. The connection now between big tech and med tech, I think is going to take the industry to a different level on technology. And who wins? What I always say, the patients win, right? And that's what we're very, very focused on. So the beauty of this event, Joe, and you know this well because you've been for a number of years, is you're starting to see the convergence of all aspects of technology and investors here collaborating and gathering and talking. Right behind us, right, the partnering sessions, absolutely packed. All day long,
I've been
right?
sitting here watching it.
People
packed.
doing business,
Yes.
right? It's awesome. So excited about the flywheel turning
And
faster.
you bring up an interesting point because I've been around this for 35 years and I've watched Apple step close to the sun and get torched. And
Yep.
the sun is the FDA.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, and I've watched Google do it and they've been in and out of it, investments in and out of it. But you're right, I think we're going to see the Magnificent Seven,
Yeah.
whether it's NVIDIA, whether it's Google, whether it's Amazon. I'm forecasting within 3 to 4 years, they'll have boots on the floor here.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Because
Yeah.
this is their portal
Yeah.
into the largest industry in the world, healthcare.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We need them, and they need us. And you put the two of us together, it's going to be a powerful force for change, right? And when you've been primarily big tech and you haven't been regulated the way we have been regulated, you can understand why they don't fully understand it. But Microsoft sponsored today's keynote session. That was a great session we had about AI, right? And they're here, Google's here, NVIDIA's here, the list kind of goes on and on. But it's going to blow up on the floor, and I think in the partnering area over here, it's going to get really hot too. So.
Agreed. So Washington, let's talk about Washington for a second.
Yeah.
First of all, thanks for all the great work you and AdvaMed are doing there.
We love it.
On the industry's behalf. I mean, it's been a yeoman's job for sure.
It's different this year. It's been different.
The tariffs. So,
Yeah.
you're probably ad nauseum. You and I got together in Delray Beach a couple months ago and talked about tariffs. What do we know more about or less about right now?
Here's what we know. Well, tariffs are in place. We know that for sure. We know they're not particularly helpful to industry. We know that for sure. But we also know we need certainty into whatever it is that we're going to do long term, right? We don't want tariffs. I don't think tariffs are a great idea, but I'm not president. The president is. And he believes in them, right? And he believes in them for a lot of different reasons. And that's fine. So we have to engage with him, and we have engaged with him, and we're continuing that process. I think there's several different parts of it. I think we need to help him understand what the impact of tariffs are really on this industry. And a negative outcome could be over a period of time, if they stay high or they grow, you got to pass that along. There's some costs you can absorb inside a company, but it's not 15 or 20%. Our margins aren't that big.
We're not pharmaceutical
No,
margins.
some people have the margins to do it. We don't have the margins to do it. And that's a good thing, right? In many different ways, especially if you're a federal payer. So I think helping them understand the uniqueness of this industry. And then the second thing I'd say, and I'm not encouraged by this, Joe, necessarily. I'm just a realist, right? The Commerce Department has decided to launch this 232 investigation, a national security investigation into the medical technology industry. And I was in talking to them recently about it. We're going to be very active in commenting about this, but at the end of the day, what they said to me and what I've said back to them, fine, if that's what you're going to do, that's fine, but let us come in and tell you the full story of who we are. And at the end of the day, I think they're going to understand two things. The president wants U.S. manufacturing to be strong in the United States. We've checked that box. He wants to make sure there aren't trade imbalances around the world. We've checked that box. And let me hover on that for a second. In every country in the world, with the exception of Mexico, we have a surplus, even or a surplus in MedTech. That's not true of most industries around the world. So there's a uniqueness case there that we've been making. So we're going to build out that argument, talk about the value of MedTech, and there are some issues about supply chains and national security that we are concerned about, they're concerned about, and let's align on that, particularly in the connected care space, right? So that's an area where we will focus as well. So, you know, let's go through the process. And at the end of the day, what I hope for is they understand the way we understand that tariffs aren't a way to resolve any supply chain or national security issues, and that we'll get to a tariff level that's lower, sustainable, and something that we can manage. So certainty is the key thing, right? That's it.
And we've had conversations before is we would want to make the argument MedTech should be exempt from all tariffs.
Absolutely, yeah. And we have been really, right? Others have faced tariffs coming in, and going back, but let me use Europe for an example, right? So we've never really had tariffs in Europe, right? And they had an agreement where Europe wouldn't apply tariffs on US companies. Well, that already existed. It's not really a new agreement. So our point is, don't put 15% more on from the US side. Let's keep it where it was, right? And stabilize that, and let us compete. There are other parts of the world you probably should be concerned about. Less friendly countries, right? Maybe we ought to think about walling them off and partnering with Europe and with the UK and with Switzerland and some of these countries that we have really good relationships and a long history with. Let's keep those tariffs low to zero and let us compete around the world, because we'll win if we do that, right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So we've got a new HHS leader there.
Yep.
What do you forecast potentially how that may influence what happens in the MedTech industry?
So right now I would say with Secretary Kennedy, good guy, I like him, had a conversation or two with him. I understand where he's coming from. We don't agree on everything, but that's fine. It's not my prerogative to agree or disagree with him necessarily, but there are things we align on, right? And what he has done, I think, for us that's most encouraging is appoint two leaders of the two key agencies who understand and support MedTech very, very well. Dr. McCary and Dr. Oz. Dr. Oz, a patent holder, former surgeon, gets it. Dr. McCary, a former surgeon, understands it. So you have the regulator and the payer who totally get us. I'm good with that, right? I can handle all the other politics around issues, right? But if you've got a regulator and a payer who understand us, and want to have conversations with us, we'll take that. And in both cases, we're 2 for 2 there, right? They really are engaged with us, they understand our industry, and frankly, they want to be helpful. And I think you're going to see, not this year, but over the course of the next 3 years, a series of policy shifts that will strengthen the regulatory framework for us and strengthen the payment framework for this industry, because they know the value we provide to healthcare at a cost that's much lower than other industries who are in healthcare. So.
And you mentioned regulatory, so let's step into FDA for a second, right? We watched the devastation from the outside that occurred there in regards to some reductions maybe at large that could have been done maybe a little more precisely. But what's the current state from your perspective, FDA?
Seems stable is the way I would describe it. And I think of it in two different areas. One, it's the reviewers and the divisions who are dealing with these applications. That seems pretty stable. And then there's the policy and the operations side, which is less stable, right? You don't want the less stability to flow into the more stable side. But right now, we have not seen any major declines or reversals in the programs or processes around review times. So may it come? Sure, it might, but we haven't seen it yet. So that's encouraging. What I worry a little bit about, and I try not to worry too much, is that you don't start to see this stuff until 6 or 8 months down the road, and that could end up being a little bit of a problem. The government shutdown, if that goes on too long, that may create a problem, right? But right now, it feels fine, as I would say it, right? Not great, fine, and we're weathering through it okay.
The government shutdown, so you know, we're here sitting on the last day of the event. It could be over by the time the weekend shows up, but we should discuss it because the government shutdown definitely does have an impact on where funding goes, on where investors go, what the market does, and that trickles down to the little companies. So your thoughts on that?
You know, it feels like the market just kind of shrugs it off every time it happens, right? I mean, how many times have we done this in the past 20 years? Way too many, right? Sometimes it's a day, sometimes it's 3 days, periodically it's 2 weeks. They're not going to shut the government down for 3 months, right? So it's politics at its best. They're posturing, trying to figure out who has leverage. I think the president's pretty firm, right, in his position right now. So I think in days or weeks they're going to come together with some agreement, not necessarily to resolve the open issues immediately, but to have a process to resolve the open issues around the other healthcare related things, Obamacare and the premiums for those who are in that program. So I think it'll get resolved. It's probably not going to get resolved in the next 2 or 3 days, but if they can get a process in place, that might do it. But it's going to be political pressure that ends up resolving it. One party or the other is going to feel too much, and then they'll come to the table and work it out. So in the short term, right, what are we typically concerned about? Will it slow down review times? If you have an application at FDA or you have an application at CMS, are they going to be there to do the work, right? A couple weeks, it'll be okay. A few weeks, probably okay. But if it goes on longer than that, that's when it starts to become a concern. So FDA, you know, the user fee program is designed really to help stabilize FDA through times of uncertainty like this. So they can continue to do the work on the applications that are now, you know, in the system. And I would say they have a month or two of funding probably to make sure things stay on track. So that's where I see it today.
And then finally, you and I love this conversation because I think it's important. It's what the tail that wags the dog on innovation is reimbursement. Right? That subject continues to come up, should come up, whether you're an investor writing a check, reimbursement pathway, or what our sites of care are now changing between ASCs and hospitals and reimbursement there. What are you finding out about reimbursement right now in Washington and at large?
So it's tricky. Reimbursement is always tricky because you're sort of fighting two battles, right? The first side of it is making sure the system's set up with some certainty so that you can get in the system and get paid for. The other side is the side we don't control, which is the federal budgetary side. That always puts pressure on the reimbursement. But what we have tried to say is let's look at the systemic problems inside the federal payment system right now and try to fix that, right? And so we're continuing to make the case. It's less about how quickly you approve something, right? It's really important to get right reimbursement level, but in some ways, Joe, it's even less about that, right? The problem has always been, how do you get reimbursed? What's that timeline look like? How long is it going to take? Let's get certainty around that part of the process. Let's put some process reforms in place so you know when you clear FDA, you're going to CMS, these are the steps you need to take to get an answer. And then when you get the answer, this is the range of what you're going to get in the payment system. So we're starting that process really focused on the newer, innovative breakthrough therapies, right? And we've made a lot of progress there. The House Ways and Means Committee passed a bill for breakthrough technologies to get immediate coverage once FDA clears them. This time it went through the Ways and Means Committee with a vote of 35-3, overwhelmingly bipartisan. Last time we did it, we may have had 5 or 6 Democrats, but it was still pretty split, right? So what you're starting to see is everybody recognize the importance of this policy. That's encouraging. Now let's carry it into the regulatory side and have the regulators fix that as well. And it's not, the shutdown's going to slow that down a little bit, right? So let's get back to work so we can solve problems like this, because reimbursement, to your point, drives innovation in a way that the typical government, regulator, payer doesn't fully get, right? So, yeah.
Well, listen, I mean, when it gets this complex, when we've got change of government, we've got tariffs, we've got HHS head changes, we've got reimbursement issues, we've got government shutdowns.
Yeah.
I'm thankful as a member of the MedTech community that you're there.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
AdvaMed's
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
and I don't think the industry at large, other than the executives maybe who come here, really understand the amazing work you and your team do there.
Well, I appreciate that. We love our work, though, to be honest with you. The dysfunction that you get in Washington is frustrating, but I tell our team, hey, it is what it is, right? Stay focused on your true north. Stay focused on your why. Why are we in this business? So that patients get access to better technologies. Stay focused on that, and you'll work your way through the ups and downs. It's been that way for a long time in Washington. We can't get caught up in it, right? This is a great industry. I mean, doing amazing things, and we need to celebrate that. And a lot of what we're trying to do here, Joe, in addition to the partnering, is to celebrate this industry in a way that everybody enjoys it. So at AdvaMed, we try to steady the wheel through the storms of politics and policy. I think the team's doing a great job with that because it's bumpy right now, but we'll get through it and we'll be better for it. So,
No doubt. Always thankful, my friend.
Good to be there. All right,
Thanks.
Take care. Good to see you.
I'm Joe Mullings from the floor of the AdvaMed Conference, MedTech 2025, San Diego. Be well.